Hey everyone, StamBluke7 here, and I'm back in this bottom right corner, not where my webcam usually is, but I like to put it there for these recap videos. So, it's been a bit of a break, but I'm really excited that we're returning to Hotshot for Season 3. Big break for, well, there's like the normal break, and then we did a little detour with the Spleef tournament, and then that had some issues in the middle, but then we got it rolling again, finished that. Got all the videos done for that. So then we took a little break after that, and then it was time to bring Hotshot back. So that's a little update on why there was so much downtime here. There was like a normal downtime, but then we did a different type tournament, and then downtime for that, and then now we're back with Hotshot. So that's why the break for this season was a little bit extended. The break from season 2 to season, or from season 1 to season 2, was a little extended because of the holidays, I think. But so this was a little bit different because we had another tournament in between. But anyways, getting on with it here. We had 6 drivers show up for the first week, unfortunately missing Roman and Virus, so hopefully we can get those spots filled in. Next week I'm sure Roman will be back. We'll see what we can do about Virus. Hopefully he can show up for that next one. But yeah, so week 1 of Season 3, as you'll see when we look through the stats and the results and everything here, was pretty crazy. Go to the results. If you haven't watched the videos or anything, definitely recommend that. Because the races were pretty good, especially I would say like Boneyard was pretty close up until the end. Seaview though, Seaview was probably the best race of the night from a spectator standpoint. I would say maybe probably between Seaview and Fossil Cave. I'd probably give the edge to Seaview, but they were both pretty good. Fossil Cave in practice was insane. Fossil Cave in practice was probably the craziest race. It was unfortunate that the actual race, Fossil Cave, I think a couple drivers crashed out, so it lowered our pack a little bit, but it was close to capturing that same magic we had in practice. Anyways, let's get into it here. So for Seaview, Real Deal taking the win here. With his Excel car looking good in that. Again, that is one of the one of the cars that he brought back from season 2. Feels comfortable with it. Did pretty well with it in season 2. He might have did the best overall out of anybody in acceleration. I think he did. I'll double check that here. But yeah, I think he won that in season 2. So it's just a car that he was confident with. Wanted to bring it back. And so far, so good, taking that first one with it here, Season 3. I ended up coming home in second with the speed car, and then Jared with Carbon. Carbon is what he's looking to dominate with this season. Jared wants to score those podiums. Oh, no, it looks like... Okay, so Real Deal won speed last season, by the way. He won speed. He was 1 point off in acceleration, though. Had the most wins in acceleration. That's what it was. So definitely very competent there, for sure. Okay, so... But yeah, Jared... Not to, you know, this is definitely a big deal. Like Jared getting a podium here, big for him. I believe this is his first podium ever in Hotshot, I want to say. So just coming out here with this first race in Carbon, taking that podium, that's a really good start for Jared. Obviously in 4th place, was in that podium battle forever, just fell slightly off at the end, and then just barely, yeah, it was basically in top 3 contention the whole race, and just had a little slip up at the end, I want to say. Justin, not on point for this one, 5th place. Armada, the only driver that struggled with his speed car, interestingly finishes in 6th. Then we go on to Boneyard. Boneyard ended up taking the win with the balanced car here. It was a very close battle between me and a driver that you don't see in the top 3, Opix, who is very, similarly to Seaview, very close in the battle. And... I don't know exactly what happened. It's hard to tell from my perspective, but some sort of crash, really bad crash, unlike not even just the last lap, like literally the last straightaway. Probably just trying to send it for the win, and probably just went a little too hard or something. Maybe miscalculated a little bit. Maybe it was just Hotshot cheese. I don't know. Again, it's hard to tell from my perspective. But either way, ended up wiping out there and lost a couple positions. He was definitely on pace for at least a second. Ended up coming home in 4th. So points-wise, a little bit unfortunate there. But I don't know. Probably wanted to take a take a risk for the win. Put himself in contention for that GP win, and it just didn't end up working out. But still comes home with a 4th place, which is good, because it looked like a really bad crash. Like, it looked really bad, like potential to lose all the positions bad. So the fact that he still got 4th is pretty nice. But who ended up benefiting off that crash are Armada and Real Deal, who Armada was going to get a podium anyways, but with the crash he ends up getting a 2nd place. So that's a really good finish for Armada. His first podium. Well, he hasn't raced since Season 1, but his first podium since Season 1, yeah. I think he got a 2nd there, too. And not a 3rd, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. But yeah, taking a podium there, it's probably really good for him after that first race with the speed car not doing so well. Might be a little bit of doubt there, but then coming with his top pick from the draft, his balanced car, and taking that second place probably gets that confidence going again. Real deal with the solid third place finish. Nice for him there. Then we already talked about Opix in fourth, Jared in fifth, and Sector in sixth, rocking that Sky Road. And that's a car that we'll probably say Sector in last a lot when he races that car this season. That car is not a fan favorite, or not a fan favorite, not a driver favorite. Pretty much every driver that tries that car does not like it, and doesn't really have anything nice to say about it. So we go into Fossil Cave. This was a really hard-fought race from Opix. He was able to take the win in the end. Was definitely in control for most of the race and was able to hold on. Very, very competitive. Basically similar to his first two races. He was just able to close it out this time. So third time's the charm, I guess. Third time's the charm. Takes the win here. I ended up coming home in second. Pretty close behind, but not able to make the run at the end. Opix had a really strong run for the last couple laps. Sector in third, similar position to myself. Was making a run on the last lap, but just couldn't quite close. Armada in the fourth place here, so not quite top three, but still another solid finish coming off his second place. Real deal with his first off finish of the season here, which, I mean, it looks bad because it's second last, but it's still a top five because we didn't have everyone there. So just, I don't know, it's weird, but ends up being a top five still. All he finishes in front of Jared. I'm sure Real Deal was hoping for more than that, and this is definitely going to hurt his points battle for this GP. And then Jared coming home in sixth here, getting to the cars that he doesn't enjoy as much. Definitely, not looking as strong as he did in the first two races. And then we go on to Surf City. Surf City, I ended up taking the win for this one. Had a pretty clean race, started towards the front, and was just able to hold on for most of it. Sector had a really nice run in second. Did an interesting strategy. I want to say he was the only driver that brought his speed car. He was the only driver that brought his speed car for Surf City, and he explained it during the race. He was like, yeah, I think this car actually drifts pretty nice. So instead of taking the drift car like a lot of other people did, he was like, I like the drift of my speed car, so I'm gonna bring it, and it worked. I mean, he got a second place. That's very good. So good rebound for Justin there. His first two races, not starting off that great, but third and second to end off the night, very, very, very good rebound. So very, very well done from him there. And two podiums for him, 2 podiums on the night to start off the season, whereas Jared and Armada only got the one. So I mean, that's a hot start from Justin. That's the first time he's had 2 podiums in a GP. So good for him there. Congrats to him on that. And then we go to third place. Opix in competition. A few crashes for him tonight. I want to say he was in pretty good competition in the beginning, and then somewhere in the middle, some bad crash, some bad mix-up with Justin, something happened. Still ended up holding on to third. So he definitely had some speed here. The fact that he was able to do that and still hold on to third definitely had some speed, and was catching Justin at the end, wasn't able to take that spot back. But yeah, I mean, Opix was a few crashes away from, or a few not making mistakes. I don't know. It's hard to say because some of the crashes in Hotshot are mistakes, and some of them are just like, it just happens. I mean, that's just what it is with racing, right? But maybe a few things going differently, few situations turning out a little bit differently away from potentially having even more points. Like, he still got second overall, which we'll get into here in a second. But still a really good night. But definitely a few crashes away from actually being pretty close in points for the lead. So, but yeah, definitely something to look forward to for next week if he can clean up on some of those mistakes. Potentially could be in competition for a GP win and can get some of those points up there as well. Maybe he can he improved in the point standings last season. Maybe he can bring that improvement here again this season. All right, so and then fourth place for Surf City, Real Deal. A position better than his race at Fossil Cave, but still these other 2 cars, maybe trying to figure them out a little bit. I believe his Excel car is the only car that he brought from the other season, so it kind of makes sense. Like, he felt really comfortable with that one, did really well with that one. That was one of his best cars last season as well. But he's still getting used to these other ones. So definitely some work to be done there, but if he can figure it out and maybe get to the point where he can be competitive and for podiums on every track with every car, that'll definitely make him a contender. Fifth place Armada, definitely the highlight of his night was these middle 2 races, not able to make it happen on Surf City. Very difficult track, tried his best, but which came up short in the end. And Jared with the only DNF of the night, sadly. So yeah, Jared, unfortunate DNF here. Surf City's a tough track, and not the I don't think his car is the greatest for this. Not that I'm saying he made a bad choice. It's just, I don't know. It's just the way it worked out. I don't really think he was going to have a great choice for this anyways, unless he wanted to race Carbon, but I don't know. I think where he raced it made sense. I think what he did made sense. Is just unfortunate. But yeah, so we go to the overall results. Ended up taking the overall win for this one with 30 points. Obex coming up in second, clutching up with those last 2 races, bringing it back after the 4th places in the beginning, taking that second place with 24 points, 1 point over Real Deal, who just came up short. 23 points for him, 3rd place overall. Still a solid start, still a win, not bad. But you know, probably definitely going to be frustrated with coming up short for that 2nd place overall there. I'm sure he wanted to get a few more points out of it. And 4th place overall, Sector, strong start. 2 podiums in off the night, did a good job. It ended up bringing him 1 point over Armada. So those last 2 performances were pretty big for Sector. And yeah, so good for him on that 4th place. Armada just coming up short in 5th. I mean, very close. Like I said, it was in the videos. I said it was a very mixy night. I mean, if you look at this, 2nd place overall to 5th place overall, only 5 points. Like it was very tight. It was very tight. So a lot of these spots could have went either way, but Armada coming up short in 5th. And then Jared was the only one that was a little bit off the pace. His last 2 races were just a little too slow, and he ended up coming home with 16 points. Which again, like, you know, a couple positions better. Yeah, just a couple position improvement from, you know, being into that top 5, top 4 conversation. So it's not like he was super far off. It's not like he was last every race. He still had his first 2 races, which weren't terrible. Especially, I mean, his first race was a podium. Obviously not terrible. It was just his last 2 with the last places were not very great. So yeah, very, very competitive night. One of the most competitive nights of Hotshot, I would say. Probably the most competitive in terms of results. Let's go to the point standings. So there you go. Take a look at the point standing. I mean, that's basically just what we just looked at with the results, because it's week 1, right? It's just going to match everything. The points change, by the way, is just based off of last season's results, so that's what I went off there. But yeah, you can get a quick look at the stats. You know, obviously there's not too much to analyze here because we already looked at the overall results and it's only week 1. Obviously, this is all going to develop throughout the season, but still thought I'd show it. There you go. For the different car types, I'm leading the balanced category. Real Deal is leading Excel. Obex is leading Speed, and I'm leading Drift. So there's that. For the car results, I always like looking at this, having a look here. Speed taking home the victory for the car results again. Speed is taking home the most of these. It's been the best for the vast majority of the weeks, and it returns here for the first GP, and yeah, did very well. In fact, everybody except for Armada. Armada was the only person that didn't finish on the podium with his speed car. So for everybody else, it worked extremely well. Just Armada, something to figure out there, or maybe one of the weaker speed cars. But yeah, for everyone else, they all performed with their speed car. It worked really well for everybody. So that's not too surprising that its average was so high with all those podiums. Second place, just barely getting it over balanced, was Excel. Excel did pretty well this week. The only last place finish for Excel was Jared. Really good, like few podiums there, and then those top 4, so pretty solid for Excel. And then balanced, no last place finishes, but just a few 5ths, and you know, a few podiums there. So just being barely edged out by acceleration. Yeah, those 4th places over the 5ths were just the difference for Excel, just a little bit higher, but very competitive. Balanced and Excel were like practically tied. Like they were super close this week. And then as we've seen many times before, Drift, way off for everybody. Look at this, bottom finishes, 2 last place finishes, a lot of bad finishes in Drift, and then I had the 1 win. So I don't know why this keeps happening. I don't know why Drift keeps turning out this way, but this is the way it's been going. You know, I'm hoping with Roman, he was pretty solid in the drift car. I'm hoping he can bring some of that to the Ice and Fire GP and make the category do some justice for the drift car category. But for some reason, the majority of our field continues to struggle with the drift car, and it's just like on the bottom almost every single time. I don't know why it keeps happening. I don't know how long it's going to keep happening, but this has been the case, and it just keeps freaking happening. I don't know. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for this one. We'll just take a quick look at the schedule. Yes, the beautiful colors. But yeah, you can see all the results there. If you're not aware of the rest of the schedule, you can take a bit of a look at it there as well. With the switch up that we did this season is we customized it. So the first GP was actually constructed by me. I picked the tracks that I wanted for this GP, and then Roman picked the tracks for the second one. Obex picked the tracks for the third one. Real Deal picked the tracks for the 4th one. because it was grand finals. Yeah, yeah. So and then which I mean Justin picked the tracks. Not really, right? I mean there wasn't. It was just what was left. But Justin picked the order of the tracks for the 5th GP. Wasn't really much to work with there. But yeah, that's the customization here. I wanted to do something fun with the schedule, and I was like, you know what, this is a fun way to give us a new look at the schedule for season 3, while still keeping the same tracks, but having new GPs and having everybody having the top finishers have some say in it, and some customization, some personalization there with the GP names and everything. Thought it was a cool way to do it, and yeah, I hope everybody likes it. I think it's a cool way to format the schedule, and I'm excited to see how it goes, because it really does change up things, right? Like for example, in Roman's GP, we have a lot of very difficult tracks that were used to being like spread out throughout the season, but now we're just gonna have them all slam jammed right here in this second week. That's just gonna be an absolute gauntlet. So I mean, it's definitely, and then some of the easier tracks that we expect towards the beginning of the season are in the last GP. So it just really switched things up with the way people chose their tracks and everything, which I'm all here for it. It's really cool. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, so I ended up taking my GP. I guess it's kind of like the home stance in COD. We'll see. It's Roman's GP. He's hosting next week, and we'll see what he can do there, if he can pull off the victory there. But yeah, so hope everybody enjoyed it. It was a very fun week of Hotshot. Very competitive, and I really hope this continues throughout the season, because it was really fun. It was really good racing. Seeing everybody get a finish on the podium, something we've never seen before. I hope we can continue with stuff like that. A really good mix in winners as well. Yeah, it was a blast. I really hope this competition continues throughout season 3. I think some of the drivers that have been towards the bottom are starting to figure it out a little bit more. At least with some of their cars, they're at least like becoming specialists a little bit, and maybe they'll have their 1 or 2 cars that they can feel confident with, get a podium with, and stuff like that can really help to improve the competition. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I hope it continues. Can't tell you what the grand final track is from this week yet. All 4 of these tracks actually have not been raced in grand finals before, so they're all on the vote, and it's a tie right now. So next recap, I'll update you on the grand final schedule, and we'll see what track it is. So anyways, hope you guys all enjoyed it, and see you next time for Hotshot Season 3 Week 2, I hope. Ice and Fire GP hosted by Roman. It's going to be a good one. Yeah.